My friends, let me ask you something. Why do we sometimes stay in places, in relationships, in circles, where our value is constantly diminished? Why do we give our love where it is not respected, our loyalty where it is not honored, and our presence where it is not appreciated? We often tell ourselves, maybe they will change, maybe they will see my worth one day. But in that waiting, we lose our own dignity. God did not create us to shrink ourselves, to fit into spaces that cannot hold our light. He created us with a unique purpose, a spark of divinity that is never meant to be dimmed. Yet too many times we keep loving where we are treated small, hoping for recognition that never comes. The truth is, when we continue to love where we are belittled, we are not practicing compassion. We are practicing self-neglect. Remember this: when people make you feel small, it is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their inability to see your value. God already knows your value. He made you with precision, with greatness within you. The real question is, do you see it? Because if you do, you will never again settle for less than respect, less than love, less than dignity. So today, let's talk about why we must not love where we are treated small, and how we can rise to live with the dignity, respect, and divine strength that God wants for each one of us. God never created you to shrink. He created you to shine. Think about this deeply for a moment. When the sun rises every morning, it does not ask permission to shine. It does not look around at the clouds, the trees, the people, or the buildings to seek approval. It simply rises and does what it was created to do: radiate light and warmth to all. Similarly, you were not created to be small, hidden, or diminished by the opinions of others. You were created by the divine to radiate your inner brilliance, to bring warmth, light, and inspiration into the lives of those around you. But too often, we forget this truth. We start to shrink ourselves to fit into spaces that do not deserve our fullness. We silence our voices where they should be heard. We dim our light to make others comfortable. And slowly, we start believing that perhaps this smallness is who we are meant to be. But the truth is, the Creator of the universe did not design you to be ordinary. Every single fingerprint on your hand is unique. Every thought in your mind is special, and every dream in your heart is divinely planted. God never repeats His creation. He makes each of us with a special purpose. And yet, when you allow yourself to shrink in the face of disrespect or belittlement, you are rejecting that divine design. It is like taking a priceless diamond and locking it away in a dark drawer, never allowing it to reflect its brilliance. Think of a flower in a garden. A rose does not apologize for blooming beside a sunflower. Each flower grows in its own beauty, fulfilling its own purpose. Imagine if the rose tried to shrink its petals because it thought the sunflower was taller, or if the sunflower bent its neck down just to make the daisies feel bigger. It would be absurd, wouldn't it? Yet that is what many of us do every day. We dim our talents because someone else feels insecure. We downplay our achievements because others might feel jealous. We keep silent about our dreams because people around us might mock us. And in that process, we betray the very gift God placed inside us. In daily life, you may have experienced this in subtle ways. Maybe at work, you had an idea that could truly make a difference. But when you shared it, people laughed or brushed it aside. Instead of continuing to speak up, you held back the next time. Or perhaps in your personal life, you gave love wholeheartedly to someone, but instead of cherishing it, they made you feel unworthy, as if you were asking for too much just by wanting respect. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to shrink You began to love in silence, you began to dream in silence, and you began to live in silence. But ask yourself this: is that what God wanted when He created you with a voice, with a heart, and with a soul full of light? When you choose to shrink, you do not just hurt yourself, you deny the world the gift of who you truly are. Imagine if the stars refused to shine at night because they thought people preferred the moon. Imagine if the rivers refused to flow because they thought the ocean was bigger. Imagine if the birds stopped singing because they thought their song wasn't important enough. The world would lose its beauty, its harmony, and its balance. In the same way, when you shrink, the world loses the melody of your unique song. God has already placed within you the strength to shine, no matter how others treat you. When people try to make you small, it is not a reflection of your worth, but of their limited vision. If someone looks at the ocean and only sees a puddle, does that make the ocean any less vast? No, it only shows the limits of their eyes. Similarly, when others cannot see your value, it doesn't mean you have no value. It simply means their vision cannot perceive your greatness. Every challenge in life is an invitation to rise higher. When someone treats you small, you have two choices: either shrink and believe their words, or shine even brighter and prove them wrong, not with anger, not with revenge, but with the quiet dignity of someone who knows their worth in God's eyes. Your greatness is not measured by the applause of others, but by the courage to stand tall, even when no one claps. Think of a candle in a dark room. It does not need to scream, "I am light." It simply shines, and in doing so, the darkness disappears. You too do not need to prove yourself to anyone. All you need to do is remain true to who you are, and your light will naturally dispel the smallness that others try to impose on you. So, the next time someone tries to belittle you, remember, you are not created to shrink. You are created to shine. Walk into every space with the awareness that God Himself thought the world needed one of you, and that is why you are here. Live in such a way that you no longer apologize for your light, no longer silence your voice, no longer bend your back just to be accepted. Instead, stand tall like a tree, bloom like a flower, and shine like the sun, because that is exactly what you were created to do. Respect is not asked for, it is naturally earned when you know your worth. This is one of the most liberating truths of life. Too often, we run after people, hoping they will respect us, value us, or acknowledge our presence. We try to please them, change ourselves, or even reduce our standards just to win their approval. But the paradox is this: the more you beg for respect, the less you receive it. Respect, unlike money or gifts, cannot be demanded or begged for. It flows naturally toward those who walk with dignity, confidence, and self-awareness of their true worth as children of the divine. Think of it this way: when you walk into a room with your shoulders bent, your head lowered, and your voice uncertain, people will sense hesitation. They may not consciously notice it, but unconsciously they will respond by giving you less attention, less importance, less respect. But when you walk with your head held high, not in arrogance, but in quiet confidence, you don't even need to speak much. Your presence commands respect because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, others have no choice but to recognize it too. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine two students in a classroom. One has studied thoroughly, prepared deeply, and knows his subject well. The other has not done his homework, is unsure, and feels nervous. When the teacher asks a question, the first student answers with calmness, clarity, and confidence. He does not shout, he does not boast, but everyone in the room automatically respects his answer. The second student, even if he tries to shout louder or make excuses, receives little respect because his foundation is weak. Respect, you see, does not come from noise. It comes from inner strength. The same applies to our lives. When you know your worth in God's eyes, when you understand that you are a creation of the divine and therefore already valuable, you stop chasing after people's validation. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop justifying your every step, and you stop begging others to treat you with dignity. Instead, your actions, your composure, your very aura begins to reflect strength, and people automatically begin to treat you with respect. Think of how nature teaches us this lesson. Have you ever seen a mountain begging people to admire it? No, it simply stands tall, rooted in the ground, unshaken by storms, steady in its presence. And yet, when we see a mountain, we naturally feel a sense of awe and respect. The same with the ocean. It doesn't plead for recognition, yet people travel miles to sit by its side, mesmerized by its depth and vastness. Respect flows naturally toward those who embody strength without needing to demand it. In relationships, this principle becomes even clearer. When you constantly beg someone to respect you, when you tolerate their dismissiveness and try harder and harder to win their approval, you actually lose their respect. But when you hold your dignity, when you show through your behavior that you will not settle for being treated small, the other person, whether they like it or not, begins to shift their perception. They may test your boundaries at first, but the more you stay consistent in honoring yourself, the more they are forced to respect you. And if they still do not, then you gain the clarity to walk away, knowing your value does not decrease just because someone refuses to see it. Look at the lives of great leaders, saints, or even ordinary people who lived with extraordinary dignity. They did not ask the world to respect them. They lived with such clarity of purpose, such faith in God, and such unshakable self-worth that the world had no choice but to bow before their strength. Their respect came not from chasing others, but from aligning with their own inner truth. In daily situations, you too can practice this. At your workplace, instead of seeking constant praise, focus on delivering your work with excellence. When you do your part with sincerity and integrity, you may not always get applause immediately, but slowly, people will begin to respect your consistency. In your personal life, instead of constantly seeking approval from friends or family, show them through your behavior how you value yourself. Speak with kindness, but also with firmness, draw healthy boundaries, and walk away from conversations or environments where you are belittled. Over time, people realize that you are not someone they can take lightly. The real root of respect lies within. If you respect yourself, if you treat your own soul with honor, if you align your actions with the awareness that God resides within you, then others will naturally reflect that back. But if you constantly see yourself as small, if you allow yourself to be treated like an afterthought, then no amount of begging will bring you true respect. Remember, even silence can command respect when it comes from a place of inner strength. There is a difference between being quiet because you are afraid and being quiet because you are secure. One comes from weakness, the other from wisdom, and people can feel the difference. So never ask for respect, because respect is not given. It is earned through the way you carry yourself, the way you value yourself, and the way you honor the divine spark within you. When you know your worth, you walk differently, you speak differently, you live differently. And when you live that way, Respect is no longer something you chase, it is something that naturally follows you, like a shadow that never leaves. Staying where you are treated small is choosing chains over freedom. When you reflect on this, it becomes clear that whenever we allow ourselves to remain in environments, relationships, or circles that constantly belittle us, we are not just tolerating disrespect, we are imprisoning ourselves. The most dangerous prisons are not made of iron bars or locked doors. They are the invisible prisons we build inside our minds when we convince ourselves that we must stay where we are undervalued. It feels safe, familiar, and predictable, but in truth, it is a chain that binds us from living the life God truly intended for us. Imagine a bird with wings strong enough to soar high into the sky, yet choosing to remain in a cage because it has become used to the walls around it. Over time, the bird begins to think, "This is my world, this is all I deserve." Even if the cage door is left open, the bird hesitates to fly because it has forgotten its ability to be free. Many of us live this way. We remain in jobs where our talents are overlooked, in relationships where our hearts are neglected, in friendships where our presence is taken for granted. Not because we cannot leave, but because we fear the unknown outside the cage. We confuse comfort with freedom, and in doing so, we accept chains over wings. But God did not create you to live in chains. He placed within you the strength to walk away from anything that reduces your spirit. Staying in a place where you are treated small is like carrying heavy stones in a backpack every single day. You may still walk, you may still move forward, but with every step you are weighed down, drained, and exhausted. Imagine how light and free you would feel if you simply chose to set those stones down. Think of daily life examples. Maybe at work, your efforts are consistently ignored. You put in hours of dedication, yet someone else gets the recognition. Instead of acknowledging your value, your environment diminishes it. By staying there without considering other opportunities, you are choosing to remain in chains. Or maybe in your personal life, you are in a relationship where your love is constantly met with criticism instead of appreciation. You give kindness but receive coldness. You give loyalty but face betrayal. And yet you stay telling yourself, "At least I am not alone." But in truth, you are more alone when you are with people who make you feel small than when you stand in solitude with dignity. Chains often disguise themselves as comfort. We say to ourselves, "It's better to stay here because at least I know what to expect." But the truth is, the comfort of chains is only an illusion. What looks like safety is actually a slow erosion of your spirit. Freedom, on the other hand, may feel uncertain. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is where your soul breathes, where your wings stretch, and where your true growth happens. Even nature shows us this lesson. Consider a tree planted in a small pot. As long as it remains there, its roots cannot expand, its branches cannot stretch, and it cannot grow to its full height. The pot becomes its limitation. Only when it is replanted in the open ground can it truly thrive. In the same way, staying in environments that treat you small is like living in a pot too tiny for your soul. You may survive, but you will never truly flourish. To grow, you must choose freedom over chains, even if it means stepping into the unknown. Think about people who inspire us. They are not the ones who stayed chained to toxic spaces. They are the ones who had the courage to walk away. They are the ones who said, "I will no longer shrink myself to fit into your smallness." Their freedom came at the cost of leaving behind what was familiar, but it also gave them the power to live fully. And remember, walking away is not always physical. It can be emotional too. You may still be in the same environment, but you can choose to detach your worth from how people treat you. You can choose to no longer internalize their belittling words, their lack of recognition, or their dismissive attitudes. That inner shift is the breaking of chains. Freedom is not just about leaving behind what hurts you, it is about stepping into what honors you. It is about choosing spaces, people, and opportunities that allow you to grow into the person God designed you to be. It is about saying, I deserve to live where my light can shine, not where it is dimmed. So, ask yourself today, where are you choosing chains over freedom? Where are you staying small just because it feels familiar? And most importantly, are you willing to trust God enough to spread your wings and fly into the life that is waiting for you beyond the cage? When you do, you will discover that the sky was always wide open for you. You were never meant for chains. You were meant for freedom. And freedom begins the moment you stop loving where you are treated small and start honoring the infinite worth that God has placed within you. Your self-worth is not dependent on how others treat you, but how you see yourself through God's eyes. This is a truth that, if understood deeply, can transform the way you live, the way you love, and the way you walk in this world. Too many of us make the mistake of measuring our worth based on external treatment. If people clap for us, we feel important. If they ignore us, we feel invisible. If they love us, we feel valuable. If they criticize us, we feel broken. But when you allow your worth to be tied to the way others behave toward you, you give them the remote control to your happiness. Every time they press a button, approval, disapproval, love, rejection, you react accordingly. And slowly, you forget that your true worth has never been in their hands. Think of a diamond lying in the dirt. Even if it is covered in mud, even if people walk past it without noticing, even if it is ignored or trampled upon, it never loses its value. Its shine is still intact, its worth is still precious. All it needs is to be recognized, cleaned, and placed where it belongs. In the same way, no matter how others treat you, your true value remains untouched, because it is defined by the one who created you, not by the ones who overlook you. In daily life, this lesson plays out again and again. At work, you might feel undervalued, as though your contributions go unnoticed while others get the recognition. In relationships, you might pour love, loyalty, and kindness, but receive indifference or neglect in return. And in social circles, you might feel excluded or not taken seriously. Each of these moments can make you doubt yourself if you measure your worth through the lens of others. But the truth is, people's inability to see your value does not reduce it. If someone looks at the sun and only sees a burning ball of fire, does that mean the sun is not life-giving? No. It only means their vision is limited. This is why learning to see yourself through God's eyes is essential. God does not measure you by the claps you receive, by the salary you earn, or by the number of people who recognize your talents. He measures you by your sincerity, your efforts, your inner purity, and the love you carry in your heart. From His perspective, you are already worthy. You are already valuable. You are already enough. The question is, do you see yourself the same way? Consider how a child behaves. A child does not question its worth every time it falls down while learning to walk. It simply gets up, tries again, and trusts that falling is part of the process. It does not look around and say, "They are laughing at me, so maybe I am not worthy of walking." No, it keeps going because its sense of worth is not yet tied to the opinions of others. Similarly, When you begin to see yourself with the innocence of a child and the vision of God, you stop being shaken by the ups and downs of human treatment. There's a powerful freedom that comes when you stop outsourcing your worth to others. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging for love. Instead, you start living with quiet confidence, knowing that your value comes from a source higher than human opinions. When someone praises you, you are grateful but not dependent. When someone criticizes you, you listen if it is constructive, but you don't allow it to define you. You become like a tree deeply rooted in the ground. Winds may shake your branches, but they cannot uproot your foundation. Think of the greatest souls in history. They were often misunderstood, criticized, and even mocked in their time. Yet they did not define their worth by the treatment they received. They stayed anchored in their higher purpose, knowing that God had created them for something greater. And eventually, the world caught up and recognized their light. But even if the world hadn't, their worth would have remained unchanged, because it was never based on public opinion, it was based on divine truth. In your daily life, you can begin practicing this by affirming your own worth in moments of doubt. When someone dismisses you, remind yourself, their opinion cannot define me. When someone ignores your effort, remind yourself, God sees my effort, and that is enough. When someone tries to belittle you, remind yourself, I was created by the same divine hand that painted the sky and placed the stars. How could I ever be small? The shift begins within. The more you internalize the truth of your worth, the less dependent you become on external validation. And when that happens, an interesting thing occurs. Others begin to treat you with more respect. Why? Because people mirror the way you treat yourself. If you walk with the energy of someone who knows they are worthy, others subconsciously pick it up and respond with greater respect. But if you constantly treat yourself as though you are less, people will often reflect that back. So never forget, your worth is not tied to applause, recognition, or approval. It is not diminished by neglect, criticism, or rejection. Your worth is anchored in the unshakable truth that God Himself created you with intention, love, and purpose. To see yourself any less is to insult the very one who made you. Walk with that awareness, live with that dignity, and you will never again allow the treatment of others to dictate the value of your soul. Love should uplift, not diminish. If it makes you smaller, it is not love, it is attachment. This truth is one of the most powerful realizations we can embrace in our lives, because many times we confuse attachment with love, and in that confusion, we suffer silently. Real love is meant to make you feel alive, expanded, supported, and valued. It should remind you of your strength and connect you deeper to your soul and to God. But when what we call love starts to suffocate us, when it constantly demands us to shrink, to apologize for existing, or to accept disrespect, then it is not love at all. It is attachment, and attachment is always heavy. Think about fire. Real love is like a steady flame that gives warmth, light, and comfort. Attachment, on the other hand, is like uncontrolled fire that burns and destroys. Love nourishes your growth while attachment drains it. Yet many times, we stay in relationships, friendships, or even environments under the illusion of love, when in reality it is just our fear of losing, our fear of being alone, or our unwillingness to let go that binds us. Consider a simple example from daily life. Imagine a friend who truly loves you. They encourage you to pursue your dreams. They celebrate your success. And when you stumble, they remind you of your strength. Even if you grow beyond them in certain ways, Their love is not threatened, it is supportive. That is love. Now compare it with another situation. A friend who constantly criticizes you, makes you feel guilty for your achievements, and wants you to stay small so they can feel comfortable. That is not love. That is attachment disguised as care, but it actually seeks to control and diminish you. The same can happen in family relationships, romantic connections, or even workplaces. You may stay because you tell yourself, but I love them, or I love this job. But if in that love you are consistently being made smaller, silenced, or devalued, then ask yourself, are you truly experiencing love, or are you just clinging to attachment? Real love is never threatened by your growth. It celebrates your light. Look at nature. When the sun shines, the flowers bloom. The sun does not say to the flowers, do not grow taller than this, and the flowers do not say to the sun, do not shine too brightly. Their relationship uplifts both. It creates beauty for the entire world. That is how love works. It uplifts without asking you to dim yourself. Attachment, however, works differently. It is like keeping a bird in a cage because you fear losing it. You may call it love, but in reality it is only control. Real love would open the cage and let the bird fly, because love trusts that even in freedom, the bond remains. Love expands, attachment restricts. In our spiritual journey too, this principle applies. God's love never makes you smaller. His love uplifts you, strengthens you, and constantly reminds you that you are valuable. He never says, be less than what I created you to be. Instead, His love is unconditional. It fuels your growth. Human attachments, on the other hand, often push us into conditions. I will love you if you do this, or I will stay with you if you don't change. That is not love, because true love does not diminish, it liberates. Think of the times you felt truly loved in your life. Wasn't it when someone accepted you for who you were, without judgment? Wasn't it when someone saw your worth, even when you doubted yourself? Wasn't it when you felt safe enough to be fully you? That is the essence of love. And if you compare that feeling with the heaviness of staying, where you are constantly belittled, you will clearly see the difference between love and attachment. Every day, people remain in toxic relationships because they confuse endurance with love. They say, but I can bear it, I can tolerate it, so this must be love. No, it is not love if it consistently diminishes you. It is not love if you have to silence your truth to maintain peace. It is not love if it costs you your dignity. Love may demand sacrifice, yes, but it should never demand self-destruction. True love has the power to heal. It helps you rise higher, it nourishes your soul, and it makes you feel closer to God. When you are in the presence of true love, you feel more yourself, not less. But attachment will always weigh heavy on your heart. It will trap you in guilt, fear, and insecurity. And here is the beauty. You always know the difference deep within. Your heart knows when it feels lighter and when it feels chained. So, when you find yourself in situations where what you call love is constantly shrinking you, take a pause and ask, is this love or is this attachment? If it is love, it will encourage you to grow into your fullest self. If it is attachment, it will keep you bound in fear and smallness. Choosing real love, whether it comes from people, from God, or from within yourself, is choosing freedom. Always remember, love should never ask you to become less. If it is truly love, it will make you more. It will expand your vision, strengthen your spirit, and uplift your entire being. Anything less is not love, it is only attachment. And you were never created to live bound by attachment. You were created to live in the abundance of true love. the kind that allows you to stand tall, shine bright, and feel fully alive.